I'd like to move on to our next guest for this afternoon. Support Act is described as the heart and hand of Australian music. Why the hand? Well, because they have been lending a helping hand to Australian musicians who have needed assistance for almost 3 decades now. Musicians are often the first to give assistance to charitable causes, so it's wonderful to see some charity extended their long overdue way. Clive Miller is the CEO of Support Act, and he joins us now on the phone. Welcome to Thursday Drive and Eastside Radio.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Even though Support Act has been around for many years now, I still feel like the story isn't as widely known as it should be. So can you just remind our audience again how it all came about?
Absolutely. So Support Act was established in 1997, but the actual interesting story is that the idea was around for about 10 years before that. And it was actually inspired by Stevie Wright from the Easy Beats. And he had, as I'm sure many students of rock and roll history in Australia would know, had great success in Australia and then overseas, and then had come back. And there was no kind of support mechanism. There was no structure in place to really kind of help somebody to work out, you know, what do I do now career-wise and just in terms of, I guess, their personal life and other things. And so he, unfortunately, spiraled a bit downwards and had issues with drugs and alcohol. And there was just a real concern expressed by particularly a guy called John Brommel, who was a publisher and well-known person in the music industry at that time, that you know, there just was no support mechanism in place within the music industry. So he spent about 10 years lobbying to try and get ultimately ARIA and APRA AMCOS to front up some money, which led to Support Act being established in 1997. So we've been around for about 27 years now.
How is Support Act now received, do you think, when you go out there to try to generate support for the organisation still? Because it's something that needs to happen ongoing, doesn't it?
Look, it does. It's you know, what we spend within the organisation, a huge amount of time on just trying to make sure that we've got the income and the revenue to make sure that we can continue to provide our services and to, in fact, grow and expand them. So we've been lucky. We were quite lucky in COVID. That sounds like a bit of a contradiction in terms, but the federal government at the time gave us $40 million to distribute to people that worked in music and after a while in the live performing arts as well. And that was to provide some kind of emergency support. So that fitted in within our crisis relief program. So over that period, we actually gave out 11,000 grants to probably more than 16,000 people. So that was a very busy period for us, but it did also consolidate some good relationships with governments at both the federal and state level. So we get some ongoing funding from them now, which is great. And then, of course, we have big fundraisers like Oz Music T-shirt Day, and that is probably the other really, really major form of income generation for us outside of our annual fundraising appeals.
It's incredibly fortuitous, both just for the organisation, but also for the Australian government and the people that ended up being recipients of that funding during COVID, that a not-for-profit such as Support Act had been around for so long, was well established, had the systems in place, as opposed to perhaps a group of people scrambling to set up something and then be expected to manage $40 million. It would have been a recipe for disaster. How lucky that Support Act had been around for so long, ready to take on that responsibility.
Yeah, well, look, I think that's what ultimately determined the government that we would be the appropriate organisation to give that funding to. But having said all of that, I will say there was an awful lot of scrambling involved, Tony, and scaling up in that way was a really big challenge. But, one that I think we all rose to and felt really good about, just because we knew we were doing good work and really helping people across the industry who otherwise wouldn't have been able to pay the rent or get their cars fixed or keep their kids in school and all of that sort of stuff. So I think we were really motivated by the fact that it was such good work and so desperately needed at that time.
You mentioned some support and you gave some really specific examples just then about keeping kids in school, paying for bills that might be cropping up. So when a musician is struggling and doing it tough, do they apply to Support Act for it? Or can the partners of the people who are struggling also apply for some help from Support Act? You know, can it be like that?
Absolutely, yep. So people submit an application to us via our website, and they have to ensure that they satisfy our criteria, which are that they have worked professionally in music for more than 5 years, they're an Australian resident, or they've got a working visa, and perhaps most importantly, that their expenditure is higher than their income,
yes,
and that they're experiencing a crisis. So our criteria is a little bit different to what it was during COVID, when everyone was in financial crisis. So if you satisfied that criteria, then we were able to give the grant. Given that we have a lot less money at our disposal now, you have to essentially be injured, unwell, have a complex mental health issue, or be experiencing some other crisis. That could be a natural disaster or something like that, that is preventing you from working in music. So if you satisfy those criteria, then our social workers will assess the application and provide an appropriate grant. And to be honest, even if people don't meet the criteria, the social workers will work with them to make referrals to other organisations and agencies that may be able to help them.
What about when musicians struggle to get paid from venues or promoters? That can cause a lot of stress and hardship, and it can be particularly challenging again right now as this, cost of living crisis envelops everybody. Does Support Act, can they step in there a little bit too?
Sadly not, just because a key part of our policy, I guess, is that we don't support business-related expenses, and so that does extend to things like not getting paid from a venue and things like that. We can't pay the rent on somebody's home studio or anything really to do with work, because if we did it for one, we'd have to do it for all, and that would be just an enormous drain on resources. So I think right from the outset, that has always been excluded.
Sustainability for an organisation such as Support Act is crucial, so that longevity is the real name of the game. Now, you mentioned before about Oz Music T-Shirt Day. Tell us a little bit about that, Clive.
Well, Oz Music T-Shirt Day has been going for about 10 years or thereabouts. In fact, 10 years, Tony, might be the anniversary next
Congratulations.
year. Not that I'm giving anything away.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But so it started life, I think, as an idea from ARIA that was ultimately picked up by Triple J. And then Support Act got involved around about 2016, 2017, piggybacking, I think, on what was happening, to say not only inviting people to wear their favourite Oz Music T-Shirt Day as part of a celebration of Australian music on Oz Music T-Shirt Day, but asking people to donate to Support Act as well. And so that's something that we have been building into the messaging now since that time.
Yes.
And so that's gone really, really well, to the point really where Oz Music T-Shirt Day is our event now, but we still have, thankfully, the support of our original sponsors, which is always fantastic. And I guess what we have sought to do is really try and grow this into, firstly, a campaign that all of the music industry can support, but secondly, that music lovers across Australia can support. So really inviting people, still sticking, I think, to the same fundamentals. We want to have a celebration of Australian music and all of the people who helped to create it, and to have people repping their favourite Oz Music T-shirts, but at the same time raising money for Support Act so that we can continue to provide our services as well.
I've been a recipient of the support. My family has been a recipient of the support of Support Act this year. It's a fantastic initiative. It's been going on for decades now. We're incredibly proud of this Australian idea that has flourished into this incredible network for Australian musicians. I love the fact that you can pull out your Australian music T-shirts too. And that's another thing. If you don't have an Australian music T-shirt, go and get one online. Bandcamp is probably a great place to start, as well as the website. Clive, you guys are selling T-shirts too, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got some great premium T-shirts that are still available, and so people can go to our website at ozmusictshirtday.org.au, and then we have listed there a number of merch partners as well, and they're different organisations like Bandcamp and others who, some of the other Sound Merch and other Love Police and various other people that sell T-shirts online, and they are donating a percentage of those sales to us as well.
Special shout out to Love Police. They're great friends of Eastside Radio too. And again, congratulations for all the incredibly fantastic work that Support Act does, and we wish you all best for an Oz Music T-shirt Day bonanza.
Thank you for your support too, Tony, and everyone at Eastside. Greatly appreciate it.
That was Clive Miller, the CEO of Support Act. They've got a website, supportact.org.au, and they've got their big fundraiser on the moment called Oz Music T-shirt Day, which is all happening as part as Oz Music Month. And I just did a little bit of a quick calculation before, in my head, of course, but $40 million, which is what they talked about, was the amount of grants given. $40 million dispersed over 11,000 grants comes to really just a little under $4,000 per recipient. So it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it makes a huge difference in the life of a musician, and what a fantastic organisation Support Act is. And we can only encourage our listeners to get behind Oz Music T-shirt Day, and if they're willing and able, to also support Support Act too.
This Oz Music T-shirt Day help keep the